The mind trick that makes you forget who you are for a second. It always begins with a flicker, a tiny, harmless moment where reality folds in on itself so quickly that, if you weren't paying attention, you'd never notice it happened at all. I used to think of it as a lapse, one of those odd mental hiccups that happens when you're overtired or distracted. A second where your mind simply steps away from the room. But lately, that second has been stretching, widening, opening into something far larger than a gap in memory, something with shape, with intention. I first realized this when I was brushing my teeth on a Monday morning, staring at my reflection with the dull determination of someone pretending they're ready for the day ahead. One blink, nothing strange, and then the next blink felt delayed, as if the world froze for that fraction of time longer than it should have. My hand paused mid-air. My reflection paused too, but not perfectly. The angle of the toothbrush was slightly off, like my mirrored self had made a different choice before snapping back into sync. I remember frowning, leaning closer, scanning the mirror for cracks or distortions in the glass. But the surface was pristine, my face staring back with that uneasy expression you wear when you're not sure whether you saw something real or imagined it entirely. I shook it off. I had no time for hallucinations. I rushed to leave for work. But as I stepped outside, the cold air hit me with a sensation I cannot describe, like I had missed a step in time, as if my body had already moved while my mind lagged behind. Throughout the day, that sensation kept returning. At my desk, typing an email, I would blink, and the email would be sent, even though I didn't remember proofreading it. While crossing the street, a horn blared, and I found myself already on the sidewalk, heart pounding, with no memory of the last 3 steps. Conversations ended quicker than I recalled participating in them. I began to feel like I was skipping frames in my own life. But the moment I couldn't deny happened the following night. It was late. I was exhausted. My apartment was lit only by the faint glow from the street lamp filtering through the curtains. I stood in the kitchen pouring a glass of water when it happened again, the blank second. Except this time, the world didn't fade out. It sharpened. The sound of the water pouring dulled, flattening to a low hum. The colors around me dimmed into a washed-out gray. My body froze completely, locked in place, mid-pour. And then, with absolute clarity, I felt consciousness withdrawing from me, peeling back like a curtain. Something else leaned forward inside my skull. I couldn't see it, but I could feel it. My mind was no longer alone in my body. And during that second, that tiny, stolen moment, the thing inside me moved. My eyes shifted. My fingers tightened around the glass. My shoulders straightened. These were not my actions, not my choices, not my movements. I was being piloted. The moment passed as quickly as it began. Color rushed back into the world. The sound returned. Water spilled onto the counter. I hurried backward, gasping like a drowning man breaking the surface. That was the first time I admitted it wasn't stress, wasn't exhaustion. Something was using those blank seconds to practice being me. Over the next few days, the blank moments multiplied. They appeared while I was doing mundane things, tying my shoes, reading a message, taking my trash down the hall. Each time, the gap widened. Each time, the return felt more jarring. Once, I lost 6 full seconds. 6 seconds of absolute nothingness. When I came back, I was standing in a completely different room, my bedroom instead of the living room. The lights were off. My hands were trembling. The closet door was slightly open. Inside the closet, the clothes hangers were swaying gently, as though someone had walked out a moment before I returned. I stopped sleeping after that. I tried to stay awake with caffeine, cold showers, music blasting through headphones. But eventually, every mind collapses. Mine did too. And when it happened, when sleep took me without permission, the blank didn't happen as a moment. It happened as a place. I found myself standing in a long, dim corridor, endless, shadowed. My own footsteps didn't echo. I wasn't even sure my feet were touching the ground. Ahead of me, a figure walked with its back turned. Same height as me, same posture, same clothing. I couldn't see its face, but I felt its awareness pressing through the dark like heat. It didn't turn. It didn't speak. It simply walked a step ahead of me, perfectly synchronized. When I tried to call out, the sound died in my throat. A breath I didn't draw escaped my lips. The figure in front of me inhaled. It was breathing for me, breathing as me. I jolted awake on the floor of my bedroom, chest heaving, drenched in sweat. My alarm clock showed 3:09 a.m. Beside it lay a slip of paper in my handwriting. Stop following me during the blanks. The next day I tested myself. I set up my phone camera on a tripod, facing me while I sat at the dining table. I stared into the lens, unblinking, challenging the blank second to try something while I watched. It did. Mid-recording, I disappeared for exactly 8 seconds. The footage didn't cut. There was no glitch, no distortion. I was simply gone. The chair was empty, the room still, the sound unchanged. Then, without fanfare or fade-in, I was back, sitting upright, breathing steadily, eyes slightly wider than before. My posture was perfect, too perfect, like someone sitting upright in a body they were borrowing. I watched the footage dozens of times, stomach tightening each time I saw the empty chair. Each time I saw myself reappear with a posture and stillness that didn't belong to me. The worst part wasn't my disappearance. It was what I was doing when I came back. I was smiling, a soft smile, a testing smile, one that looked like a rehearsal. Someone inside me was practicing facial expressions, not mine, theirs. The blank seconds continued stealing more time from me. 30 seconds, a minute, 2. I began losing full conversations. People told me they spoke to me on the street, but I had no memory of it. My boss said I submitted a report in the middle of the night, perfectly formatted. I had no recollection of writing it. My neighbor told me she saw me standing in the hallway, staring at her door for 10 minutes. I don't remember leaving my apartment. Time was no longer linear for me. The blanks were swallowing the in-betweens. During one of these gaps, I apparently rearranged my entire living room. The couch moved to the opposite wall. The table rotated. Lamps unplugged. The rug flipped over. Everything meticulously aligned, as though someone wanted a clearer vantage point of the room from every angle. That night, I woke standing in the center of the living room, with my arms by my sides and my eyes open. I was not breathing. Someone else was holding my breath for me, not letting me return. I fought, mind spiraling, lungs burning, until, like a snapped tether, control slammed back into me. I collapsed to the floor, gasping violently, the world swirling. On the coffee table was a sentence in shaky handwriting. "You're making this harder for both of us." Last night, the blank seconds didn't bring me back to my apartment. They brought me somewhere else. When my awareness resurfaced, I found myself sitting upright in a parked car I didn't recognize. The keys were in the ignition. The dashboard glowed faintly. Outside, streetlights flickered along an empty industrial complex I had never seen. My watch said 4:27 a.m. I had no idea how I got there. No memory of driving. No sense of time passing. My hands gripped the steering wheel with a steadiness I couldn't replicate, even if I tried. The seat was pushed back, configured for someone with longer legs. The rearview mirror was positioned too low, as if the person using it wasn't accustomed to having a body. In my lap sat a second phone, not mine. The screen lit up on its own. A message appeared. "Stop interrupting. I'm almost ready." I threw the phone out the window and ran. I don't remember the route I took home. When I walked through my front door, dawn was rising. And inside the apartment, every mirror was covered with bed sheets. Someone did that to keep me from noticing who was waking up in my reflection. Now, the blank seconds come even when I'm fully awake. In conversation, mid-sentence, mid-thought. I lose pieces of reality the way a dying light loses power, flickering, sputtering, dimming. And when each flicker ends, I'm not the one finishing my sentence. My voice sounds calm, too calm. My gestures too practiced, my eyes too focused. Like someone else is slipping into position, rehearsing how to be human. The blank seconds were the beginning, the rehearsal. Now comes the takeover. I can feel it, a pressure in the back of my consciousness, a presence leaning forward, preparing to push through, preparing to become the primary occupant of this body. I write this now with trembling hands, uncertain whether the next moment belongs to me or to him. My thoughts feel layered, my voice overlapping with another. My memories glitching with scenes I have never lived. My identity thinning, wearing away like paper rubbed too hard. There will come a moment soon, a long blank, long enough for him to step fully into place, long enough for me to be removed permanently. If you meet me after tonight, you won't be meeting me. You'll meet the one who was practicing in the blanks, the one who smiles too early, the one who breathes too calmly. the one who learned how to use my face, while I slept inside a second I never returned from.